Amigos de la charla, hoy tenemos una invitada muy que la verdad es un proyecto que me tiene apasionado y hoy no estoy solo hablando de música, estoy con Daniela Ganosa, que cada vez que nos encontramos para hacer una entrevista, y esta va a ser una bilingual interview con un artista que es un fenómeno en el mundo de la música indie y aparte del todo también, de una u otra manera, hemos conocido gran parte de muchas de las canciones que ha escrito con artistas en las voces, digámoslo así, de los fenómenos pop más trascendentales de la historia de la música pop. Y pues hoy tenemos a LP Daniela Ganosa de invitada y que obviamente es un artista que está hoy con nosotros lanzando una nueva canción que forma parte de su nuevo álbum, que recientemente acaba de lanzar un vinil de una presentación majestuosa en Moscú y que nos va a hablar un poco de esta experiencia. Sé que hizo covers de los Rolling Stones, así que me encanta la idea de hablar del tema porque soy fan de los Rolling Stones. Y nada, también vamos a conocer mucho de la parte cinematográfica del tema de una colaboración que tuvo en un proyecto de Netflix que nos encantaría conocer detalles, su moda, su estilo. Sus videos desde 2001 empezó con su primer proyecto como solista, obviamente defendiendo un proyecto que viniera de ella, en el cual pues obviamente debutó y encontró un camino para una carrera que ha pasado por el rock, el indie pop y varias corrientes, ¿no? Pop. Y también ha encontrado un camino de ensamblar la música electrónica de una u otra manera con el rock que propone y todo eso lo vamos a conocer el día de hoy con LP. Hey,
LP, welcome.
Hey, hi guys, what's up? How you doing?
Everything good.
We're very happy to have you here. Honored to have you here in La Charla. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. I'm very gracias as well. I'm very excited to be here. Yeah, you know, like I said, I'm just again like I never want to see this part of my house again behind me.
Okay.
Like, woo,
Nice
man.
quote. Yeah.
I love it.
Tell us about the new single. I know you are excited become, the next year you have a new album. Tell us about this new single.
Well, the new single, the one that you love, I feel like it's really nice way to kick off the record because it is at once it belongs on this record, but it's also not an indication of what's to come. There's a lot of different diversity coming your way as far as musically, I think, and but it felt like powerful and a good, like it's unmistakably me, so I feel like it was like a cool way to just get everybody excited, and I love the song. It's a tough song to sing, I got to be honest with you. I've been like doing all these acoustic versions of it, and it's like it's a wild song to like kind of like it's like trying to keep a tornado in a box, it was like wow. Like, what do you do,
And you just said a lot of diversity that is coming up in this album. Talk to us about what we can expect of this album.
Well, I feel like I'm, there's like some nice soft stuff, almost like, and some, dare I say, like dancey type stuff that's like just feels very kind of like, just like, yeah, like, and very, I think this, as I do with most records, but I build it with my fans in mind, whether that's good or bad. I feel like I take what I feel on stage and what I see that people like and what like feels like when we're all together, and I feel like that goes into my making the music now as well, and not for every song, but sometimes I really, it's like it's trying to like get your friend a gift that they'll like. I feel like that's how I try to design the records for the fans I already have, and for myself, of course, but I feel like I know what they like, and I try to custom make it a little bit.
I just think that if you are an artist, if you're a public person, you owe part of yourself to your followers, your fans.
I agree.
And honoring them like that, that's actually, yes, it is a gift.
That's just like, I feel like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for so many people going like, wait a second, because there's millions of us. I mean, you could, in a given day, you could listen. You don't have the time to listen to as many people as there are, and I'm just so honored to have people that are sticking with me, that are discovering me, that that come to shows. I mean, even going to shows, my God, and we will get back there someday. But I feel like you could do anything in an evening, like that's so many fun things, and see so many people, and that a bunch of people come to see me. It fills my heart up. So I feel like I've got to I want them to be so excited when the record comes out, so that they're like, they're gonna get what they want. Yeah.
This year is crazy, the streaming live concerts is the moment for the artists maybe connect directly with the fans. About your experience, about that concert Saturday, I remember that concert, amazing performance. Your experience, personality, you feel different. I don't know how you feel that day.
Which show was that? The
live streaming concert.
Oh, the live streaming concert.
That was hard, because it was I haven't played a show like that. I've been doing all these little acoustic things, and I haven't played a show like that. It had been, I guess, almost 8 or 10 months,
Right.
So I can't imagine, and I haven't taken that much time off touring in like 5 years, so it was a lot, because I felt like I would never say to someone, hey, you know what, we're going back on tour, why don't you come the first night with a bunch of cameras and record it and put it live stream it, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would never do that. I'd be like, how about by the 5th or 6th show, maybe by the 2nd week, of tour, maybe come by. But it was like it was the first day. It's just it's like if if you were like, hey, why don't you bring cameras to my house right when I get up in the morning, kind of thing, just like, hi. So it felt a little bit on the spot, but I felt, and I really, doing it live is it's just, especially right now, because I feel like people really need to feel something, and I just wanted us to feel like we were all there at that moment. And I think I did well. I did my best, but and I'm used to be honest, unfortunately, in this day and age in technology, you are in your ears anyway, so you're not always hearing. Sometimes I'll see an Instagram video that someone takes, and people are yelling stuff that I don't even hear during the show.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, like people don't know what I'm hearing. You know what I mean? Like it's I can feel them, and I'm performing, of course, but in my head, it's just like a battering ram of my voice, like.
The vibe on stage. Live concert is different. So many people running.
Yeah, and they're experiencing that, and the beautiful thing about that is, for the most part, it's like you had to be there, and it's just like you experience it one time. It's like, and now you're like experiencing every second of it. I was just like, oh wow, this is okay. I'm cool with this. Yeah, it's good. Okay.
There is so there is no response, and I am just starting to understand your point of view, the point of view of the artist. So there is no response. There is nothing there from your viewers. Your viewers are there, but you actually don't feel them.
I think the only thing worse than that must be having to do a live stream comedy thing. Where it's like,
wow. Yeah.
It's like watching an episode of The Office, but with just a stand-up comedy. I'd be like, ooh.
Wow, yeah.
But
I just realized it. Well, thank you for making us realize that, because seriously, I mean, we're not artists. We just admire a lot of artists, and we would have never thought about it.
It's weird.
At the other side, maybe tell us about that experience, about the most recent live recording from Moscow. That's an amazing album.
Yeah. Well, we had played there at least 3 times, so we knew it sounded good. We knew the crowd was incredible. All my crowds are incredible. Just FYI, it's like I wouldn't pick a certain crowd. It just happened to be that it looked good. They had cameras there. In fact, In fact, it was funny because very me to do this, but I was side stage when I realized they were filming it, because I had so many shows before that like, you know, my managers must have told me 100 times. It was like, yeah, that we're filming this one. And then I'm like, so, and Brian, my bass player, goes, excited for the filming? Well, we're standing side stage waiting to go on. I'm holding my mic, like waiting. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like,
right?
Yeah, I just totally
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and I was like, and I actually, you know, I'm always dressing as if it's like gonna last forever. But I was just like, oh, I'm so glad I wore it, because I wore something so colorful and everything. Some days I'm just like, you know, only black. But I was just like, oh, okay. It took me a second to go. But yeah, just like that's so like that's me in a nutshell. Basically, that's how I am. I'm just like, I don't read the email. I don't read the fine print or the email.
Well, and you just mentioned something about how you dress. That's one of the things that I love. Other than your music, it's like your style rocks.
Oh, thanks, man.
I see you as
agree.
Yeah, I see you as a female younger version of Mick Jagger. Seriously, it's that stylish. But then on top of that, you take advantage of the female part, right? The colors and the suits, and because you can be like really male or female when you dress, but your style, girl, your style is something else. So tell us about it.
Like, I mean, it's fun.
How do you come up with that style, or like when did you started to kind of go on that direction, and when did you realize that it was part of the artist, as important as your songs is your style as well?
Let me tell you something, Daniela. LP played Penny Black in Moscow.
Yeah.
Oh, Mick Jagger vibe, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
right. So you see, I'm telling you,
well, I
got not wrong.
I wanted to draw, like, you know, attention to the fact that even though I'm like, you know, my music is pop or like alternative or a little bit left, that like my shows are like kind of, I think ultimately at the end of one of my shows, you feel like this was a rock show. You know, I'm very going toward that. I think of like Freddie Mercury and people like that. One of the people that I saw one time, and he was older, but like it was unbelievable. I saw David Bowie play at this like outdoor thing in New York that a friend, it was kind of a private thing that a friend invited me to. It's like private, but there was a bunch of people. So I was kind of close. And he was just wearing something very simple. He was like wearing like a beautiful like shirt tucked in, like just like and simple. But I watched this guy transform from like this elegant woman back into a like a, you know, like a swaggering man back into the, and it was so amazing. And you know, I'm not saying I like do that or I try to do that, but I feel like your style, my style, and especially stage style, I feel like it evolves, just like almost like how you write songs evolves. You know, it's difficult to say as a songwriter, it's difficult to explain how I feel, the things that I feel are getting better about my songwriting, because it's very like, it's not something that's like a measured thing that people would understand, because you have to be doing it for years and years, like many things. You know, you can't really articulate what the things are that are making you better at that. But I also feel like style is a bit like that, and also androgyny is a bit like that. Androgyny is, especially in presenting androgyny, is I feel like that's in all of us, and I feel like brands of androgyny for me are very fascinating. And when I see a unique brand of androgyny, I'm like, wow, it's so interesting, and so it's such a surgical maneuver, because we all have that, as I said, inside of us. But the way you dress and sometimes the way you present yourself, just like the move, a slight move will dictate to someone like, oh, you know, like I've walked into places and people have, you know, thought I'm a man, and then I lift my head and they're like, oh, okay. And it's just like the way you move. And then if you move in a female, like in a very female, but it's fluid now. So it's not something that I want to delineate as far as like, oh, that's a female thing, but we know it's more, because it's very complicated. It's more than that. So I feel like it's evolved. That's the answer. I've tried to like really sculpt my style into that whole thing.
I think
with your words, I remember some couple things about David Bowie styles.
Yeah. He was so great. I mean, I'm not as out. I don't color outside the line so far as that outlandish stuff that he did, which I love as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed his how, and he's also was so amazing at being like super wild and weird, but like still staying so sophisticated in a way. Like you never were like, what the hell is he doing? Like, I mean, I don't want to say Elton John isn't sophisticated, but Elton John did things that were just like kind of like just to be like funny and
right.
like
wild.
Yeah, like I feel like David Bowie was like a little bit more like kind of like
it was stylish. It was stylish, no matter what. And I do think, I mean, it is not something that we should feel proud of, but I do think that girls so far in this society can get away with it androgynous much more than guys. We can we can fluctuate, we can flow from female to male, and it's okay. Guys cannot do that yet, and I mean it's bad, it's horrible that I'm saying that, but at the same time I think we have much more freedom, and you are using the whole spectrum.
I'm trying. Thank you. I think that, well, the reason why is because women weren't really seen in pants, for like most of time. There's a what's her name? A famous female ranchera singer, Vega, Chevelle Vega, Varga, or something like that. I don't know.
Chavela Vargas.
The name.
Chavela Vargas.
Yeah, yeah, and she was a famous ranchero singer that I think from Costa Rica, actually, then moved to Mexico, and she was one of the first women to wear pants in that, and that it changed. She said that she was struggling in her career, and then all of a sudden she did that, and everyone was like, the hell, like, wow, but I think that women have one up on men. What a concept in something which is like wearing men's clothes more, and men are still far behind in that, which I think it's getting more and more. So we don't necessarily we think with men, when we see them in a dress, we think comedic or like kind of funny. It's not like with women, it's like it's a very much more a serious affair. So we have a long way to go in that whole thing, but I think it's very interesting. It's a sociological point of interest for me.
About music, LP, I want to ask, you feel maybe the rock and the electronic music found a way hand in hand, for the evolution of this new generation of the rock and roll artist?
You mean like kind of like Tame Impala kind of vibes and stuff like that? I think for sure. And I think Mike Del Rio, who produces my records, and we speak of things a lot with how to cut through the noise in today's music scene, and sometimes you need some of that to get to people, because people start to get they like a thing, or they start to get a little bit like, now you could be like, it's accepted to be retro and everything, but like in order to keep things moving forward, they're gonna like start to like cross pollinate and start to become more of and then ultimately becoming something completely different. So I'm I really, and I think through writing for other people and many different genres and artists, I feel like I have kind of experienced that firsthand. And I think that one of the hardest things for me in my beginning of my career, like breaking through, was that I am eclectic, and it was very hard when people want to break an artist or start an artist out. They want a very specific song or sound, and they don't even know what they're looking for. So if something's too across the board, or it's like disparate sounds, if you have a record that's what I was saying about my record. It's going to have different kind of genres on it. And that one of the things that I think happened as I released each record is that people are like, I don't really know what genre to call it. So we try to keep it that way, where it's like, and I think a lot of artists do that, you know, they're throwing elements without being retro. They're throwing elements of all different genres into a song, which then makes it like its own thing, which is yay for music. It's like evolving, and you know, and there's still stuff to keep, you know, to hold on to from past as well.
Why do you have to tag everything? Why do you have to put everything in a basket and in a, you know, category? Exactly. I don't think it should be like that, much less in art. The one that you love is the new song that LP is promoting right now. However, that is not part of the vinyl, right?
Yes.
So this is an album that is coming up later, right?
Yeah, I'm releasing probably around March. I'll release a new record, and
you have already all the songs.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
so many songs. Yeah, I mean, you know, I might I always like to I continue writing through the whole thing. I mean, I have enough for 2 records, to be honest, and there's songs that I can't believe are not going to be on this record now, which is like, that's the worst part. So, but I thought I had the whole record before I even went to Cabo last year to write again. Before I wrote The One That You Love, I thought I had this whole record, and then I went there and I wrote 8 more songs, which is like, oh, and so a lot of those are on the record too. And then, you know, then I wrote some more this summer, and at least 1 or 2 of those are on it. So it's like it's like I like to bank songs while I'm, you know, all the time. That's what I'm always doing, because I think it there's some songs like that song Recovery on my last record. That was like 8 years old. I think I wrote that. I don't even think I wrote that for me. It was like before my artist thing. I wrote it about me. I wrote about my ex, and I think I wrote it for like Leona Lewis. Like she wasn't in the room, but I was just like writing it for a pitch for her. And it's, you know, it's just so ironic. Like, in fact, my ex got in a cab in Paris, like about, I think, you know, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, when that song was like, you know, spinning in Paris, in France, and gets in the cab, and she doesn't know that song's even about her, but she gets in the cab and the first thing she hears is my voice in Paris. And I was like, and she doesn't, and we don't, like, you know, I got a lot, you know, bigger and known after I was with her. So it wasn't like, you know, she just kind of blocked it out, you know, because it was, you know, it's like a bummer, because like she, you know, I was working toward these things like when we were together, but it didn't come to, you know, go like it did later. But it was just interesting that the path of a song is what I'm saying. It's like you write a song 8 years ago when it was very fresh that we broke up, and I don't even write it for myself. And then years later, like, you know, it's my ex is in a cab and it's playing, and like, it's just weird. So I think that songs are just, they're insane. They have a life, like such a weird life. I mean, I've told the Lost on You story many times, but it's a good story.
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence. Every has a cycle. I think it was like there had to be something of closure for that relationship or for that story. I don't know. I love to think like that. You mentioned that you wrote that song 8 years ago. And I think it's important for the audience, for your fans, and for people that are just learning about you, that those 4, 5, 6 million viewers that you have in every one of your videos on YouTube, and those millions of followers on your social media, that doesn't come from one day to another. You've been writing for the longest time. And as a matter of fact, the first time that I learned about you, it was probably 2010 or 2011, and you were playing at Bardot. That's the first time. That's the first time that I saw you.
I saw a video from Bardot last night of me singing. Of me singing a Cannonball by Jesus Christ. I just was talking about him this morning. The guy Damien Rice, and I was like, and it was actually a performance that, you know, myself, I was like, that was good. I was like,
That's
wow.
awesome.
Like, that person should really get somewhere. They're doing good. Like, I was like, you know, I'm like singing this song, I'm blasting.
She did.
I used to do this thing where I used to flip my phone in the air, like mid, like scream, you know, and I mean, I still do stuff like that on stage, but I remember those days were very interesting. They were interesting for me to look back on because it was 2010, I believe, 2009, 2010, because in between, those are the 2009 to like 2000, like almost all the way through 2010, I was only writing for other people. And I thought that I was only ever going to do that. It was actually 2 years straight. It was like the very beginning of 2009 to like about the beginning of 2011. And it was a very interesting perspective because I certainly didn't see all this stuff ahead of me. I thought, that's it. I got to write as many songs as I can. I got to get as good at every genre of writing because that's just going to up my chances, because songs are just flying out there all the time, and like artists are taking them. I mean, some artists must like, I never count my chickens before they hatch. I'd always like wait till the song is on iTunes or Spotify if it's with another artist before I ever go like, oh, I got a song with so and so, because so many things could happen.
Good.
Yeah, it's just like a wild thing to experience. So when I see myself performing in those days, I was just having fun, and it was and that's what led to me coming back as an artist. I was just having fun because I had gotten beaten up. I was in the major label system for 3 years before that, like with writing all these songs with nothing coming out. I wrote 140 songs from 2006 to 2009.
Wow.
And I didn't put out a record. And so then one of those songs got recorded by the Backstreet Boys, and that's kicked off my songwriting career. And then I was like, okay, I'm making money in music. I'm good. I'm fine. I got it.
Right.
and then I started.
No worries, come on.
LP,
Yeah.
what was the name of a song for the Backstreet Boys?
Oh, it's called "Love Will Keep You Up All Night."
I remember that song.
And the one for Rihanna is Cheers, right?
Cheers. I'll drink to that. Yeah.
How do you remember when you wrote that songs for mainstream pop artists? How do you remember that day? Maybe I don't know.
Well, that song, I think Cheers. I think we knew we had something because my co-writer started asking all her friends down to the studio to hang out.
Yeah.
I was like, and she's a badass songwriter. And Stacey Barth, and like she has stuff on Miley Cyrus records and stuff, and she's an amazing writer and person. And but she's kind of chill usually. But like I remember she started like calling all her friends to come down to the studio, and it was suddenly a party. I was like, I guess this song is good, because like suddenly like and it's actually everybody on the record. There's a part where everyone goes just on a freaking weekend, and that was all her friends like hanging out at the studio. So I have like great memories like that, and then I also have super like shitty memories of being locked in a room for like 3 days and being like, this is crap, and then suddenly it's on somebody's record. I'm like, okay. There you go.
LP, I want to say something. Congrats. I think in your music and your songs, I love 2 songs especially. Lost on You is my favorite, and Girls Go Wild.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
That songs are amazing. And you are so honest. I feel when you sing your soul.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Congrats for that.
Thank you. I feel that also I feel like I've always been honest in my songs, and I always felt like it was right at the surface, but just through doing it over and over again, and especially bring up being a songwriter again, because when you're writing the songs, like there's no wait for the applause. Like if you write a song, like even Lost on You, when I wrote that song, by the time that song was killing it, I had already written like 30 or 40 more songs, and
wow.
and like it wasn't like I went like, well, thank God I wrote Lost on You, I'm good. Like, 'cause I didn't know. I got dropped from my label after playing them that song. Like that was like kind of almost the end of my artist career. I played them that song and Muddy Waters and Strange, and they dropped me. So I didn't know. I was like, wow, okay, so those weren't good enough to even keep me on my major label. And I owed them all this money. They when they dropped me, they like that debt gets like, you know, like forgotten or whatever. So they had all this money that I owed them, and they still dropped me for that song, which is the story I was telling you about, Lost on You. That's just funny to me. So for me, people don't know, and I don't even know. When I write a song, I'm not like, this is great, this is going to change my life, this song. I just keep my head down. I just keep my head down and write another song, because first of all, even if it is a hit, everyone's just going to want another fucking hit. So I just, you know, I don't think about that anymore. And that was very freeing for me. If there's any songwriters out there, one of the most freeing things I think you can do is write the song, you know, put everything into it, and then forget about it, write another song, because it's an endless thing. It's not something like, you know, you don't meet any painters that are like, I'm a painter. It's like, where's your paintings? It's like, oh, there's one. Yeah, that's the only one.
Okay.
Right.
Like there could be a famous painter with one painting. It doesn't. It's just not possible. So it's just like, it's like a, you know, it's an artist, you know, journey. It never ends to me.
I think there's also a word that describes an artist, and not only the artist that is in front of the mic, but in front of a camera, or anybody in front of a camera, and that is resilience. There is no success in careers like these without being resilient, and without, I mean, you're just talking about being dropped by your prior record company, and look where you are right now, right? But it was through resilience and through believing in yourself, I guess, and loving passionately what you do, that you got out of that.
Yeah, and also like, you know, getting back to fans and people, it's like, I remember thinking, okay, like one person, like even back in the MySpace days, and like you'd have a message board, and like every day at least one or two people would be like, you're amazing, I saw you this, or I heard this, and I try to go, all right, I felt like in my heart, I felt like the world's a big place. I bet you I could find 1 million people that would like my song. Just like I felt, but I got to find them, and it wasn't easy. I didn't have the same, you know, YouTube and Instagram and everything came after, you know, I was already kind of going, but, and it's still easy either, but it's just like you know, you have to, it's a working thing. And when I, you know, it's really cool that like records are like kind of more like the thing now, because I felt like it's added to the experience of experiencing an artist, because we were getting so into that like greatest hits, you know, the top 20 of this.
Yes.
And it's nice to hear an album and where an artist actually was at. And you'll also see like bands, you know, you'll see a band like Queen, where you'll see a record that you recognize 4 major hits off it, and then you'll see the next 2 records, you know, I could be mistaken, but there's 2 records of songs you never heard in your fucking life. You're like, what the? And I think of them, and then the next record, it's like 5 hits like you've never seen before, like that, you know, by heart.
Right.
And so you're like, what were they thinking during, like, what was in their heads, like during those 2 records that are the unknown songs, where they're like, oh shit, it's over, we're fucked. Like, I don't know, but it's like they kept going, and that's the whole reason why you know Queen. It's just like David Bowie. There's this like really interesting documentary that's called 5 Years or something like that, and it talks about how even though the 80s seemed like they were like not as cool for him at the time, that those are the years that like kind of legitimized his entire thing and made the Ziggy, like, because he could have been forgotten about, you know, he could have been like not forgotten about, but he could have been like smaller, like Mark Bolan is really known, but he's not like, you know, he's not as known as David Bowie, because David Bowie kept going, and you know, Mark Bolan passed away. But I'm saying he had his whole life, he like built a legacy. Legacies are built, I think, you know.
Legacy. Wow. I want to say something more. You have my Colombian friends in Colombia, Argentina, Peru too. I have so many friends love your project.
Oh, that's so cool. Thanks.
That's so nice. I to Yeah, to Rocio.
Yes.
Hey,
I think
Rocio.
the new song is in the top 10 in Argentina for sure.
That's awesome. You have so many fans again in Russia and in Latin America LP. And we know very well that in Russia, being gay is almost a crime. I mean, we've seen it over and over. And also Latin America, I mean, sadly, our countries are still behind in LGBTQ rights. How do you, because this is the thing, whether you want it or not, you are delivering the message. Whether you want it or not, you are being that person that is saying, hey, this is who I am unapologetically, and I am an artist, and whether you like me or not, I mean, you are dancing to my music, so I'm a human being. Yeah. Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought, gee, I also have this other message, or do you feel responsible or not at all? You're like, you know, fuck everything, I'm just going to do my music.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, to be honest. I kind of do this this thing. I try not to think about it too much, but I do think about it, and I think about experiences, like individual experiences that people have with you, where they you know, I'm doing my small part. Like I don't really like to be defined as a gay person, but I'm not like, oh, I'm not a gay person. You know, I feel like, I mean, if you have eyes and you don't know I'm gay, I'm sorry. It's like, you must be that, you can really read the room, can't you? You must, I mean, I can't be that, like you got some difficulties. I'm sorry.
The thing is that your sexual orientation shouldn't define you, period.
Right. And it doesn't matter. Like, I don't like, you know, I don't walk up. I say this like example, like sometimes like when you're gay and you're young and you're first coming out to your family, it's really embarrassing because you feel like your cousins and your uncles and stuff are like kind of like going like, they're thinking about your like sexual acts, even if they don't want to. I'm not saying, you know, it's like weird incestual.
Right,
I don't know what they're thinking, but I do
right.
know that they're like, oh. Whereas I'm like, oh yeah, well, cousin Tina over there, you wouldn't really want to hear what she's doing with her boyfriend.
True.
Like, what do you think? Like, don't think about that. I don't want to see that. I don't like. It's none of anybody's business. And I think, you know, the only
human sexuality, period.
Yeah, and all I can offer up is my own, like, being kind and being accepting of you. And that's what I feel like people get from me. I'm inclusive. I want you to be different. I want you to like enjoy sex with whoever you're having. And I don't want to hear about it or not hear. If you know, whatever you want to do, I don't, it's not my business. And I'm, you know, I want to strip away that part of our existence because it's private and it's not, to me it is. And I think it's like just, there's this dignity that I feel like I afford people that they can feel. And I'm, you know, even as far as like, you know, I'll like being like letting fame be a barrier. I feel like, you know, beyond what's safe as far as like access, I feel like I include, and I want someone to feel like we are exactly equal. We're not like, I'm not like this person and you know, you know, I mean, I want the show, even at a show, I want it to be like, we're all singing together like that, you know. It's uncomfortable to make it more than that. And I feel like that's life in general. And it's so sad to me that we are still struggling with accepting diversity in this world. I mean, that's why our world is, you know, crumbling around us in a lot of ways, because, you know, we're on the precipice of moving past that, I believe.
We need to finish. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This interview was amazing.
You're amazing.
I want to say two things more. I need to buy your vinyl in Moscow. I want to hear the vinyl collection.
I'll have some sent to you right away.
Okay, sign it, please.
Yeah, just you have Talia's email, whatever. Just send her the address, and I'll send you guys a couple.
Oh my God!
Thank you so much. That's so nice of you.
I recommend you this record. I think it's a good piece of my collection.
Oh, I love Lucinda. Yeah, man. Is that the new one?
Yeah, it's the new one. Yeah. I recommend you. This is amazing.
It's great. I listened to a couple songs. She's one of my favorites. She's one of my inspirations as well. And in fact, I opened for her one time, and we have a great picture together. of us that I really love. I'll have Talia send it to you as well. It's like really, to me, she is one of the great writers of our time. Like her lyrics. I mean, I love her voice and her melodies too. But like, wow, she's just like. Do you like Car Wheels on a Gravel Road?
Amazing. I love that. Yeah. I'm pumped.
She's amazing.
Yeah, so fun. Yeah.
LP, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For this
Thanks,
interview.
Daniel.
We've enjoyed it immensely, and
Thanks.
well, let's hope that this is not the last time that you're here with us, because we've enjoyed it.
I mean, I hope we get to all hang in person sometime and have a
definitely, please.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, you guys.
Gracias.
It's my pleasure. Nice. Gracias. Bye.